Well, welcome everyone to our belated celebration. We are celebrating 3 years playing this game. Um, just 3 years ago on May the 4th, 2021, we started playing this humble D&D campaign, and now it has bloated into a massive cacophony of sound, lights, and music as we continue this journey forward as we approach the end of the campaign, which probably will be done prior to our 4 year anniversary. But I mean, I've been surprised before. I can be surprised again. So welcome to the campaign, everyone. You're in a special section, session 69 of our D&D campaign, and I hope you're all well. I know I am. I am the Wombat of DM, of course, and let's let the party introduce themselves as well as our special guest for today.
Uh, First off, nice. And hello, I am Banewall. I play Belzian, the half elf monk, who is currently deafened.
What? What was that?
Huh?
Second off, nice. I am Amidus, and I play Roger Mays, the Wood Elf Assassin.
I thought you were gonna say the thing. Hi, I'm Shade, um, and I play Ulrich Oakenhurst, the human paladin.
Trace.
Yes, he would.
Trace Nice. I am Jaeger, and I play Yarvik Venisonbringer, the halfling. I'd shoot stuff.
Ranger.
Stuff.
I'm Atomic, and I play Zippo, the Kobold Sorcerer. And I am probably not going to be of much use this session because I'm only good at fighting things and angry scowls.
You never know how useful those angry scowls will be until you try it.
Fair enough.
And finally,
I am Briar, your Queen of Brambles, and I am guest starring tonight as the Baroness Bayvon Therese.
anybody want to welcome everyone? Thank you, Baroness, for gracing us with your presence yet again. I will say this: we were supposed to meet a month and a half ago, folks, and I am so sorry that for the delay. But we are here, we are live, and we're here to remind you of what happened. I have a feeling that the party members might have some trouble remembering, being that it has been a month and a half. But anybody want to give me some of the things that you do remember?
We
Don't know.
battled a thing.
You battled a thing, yes.
Oh, that's the end.
I took some damage because I'm 134 out of 141. I distinctly remember that I just now looked at my character sheet and I don't have my full hit points. So
Mm-hmm.
How did we get here?
After after negotiating with the Baroness a contract, we proceeded further into the mountains to reach the Queen and encountered a nasty little beastie, which I don't know that we ever got a name for it, Wombat, but we had a pretty significant fight with it. It had, if I recall correctly, some stunning abilities. Is that right?
Some what abilities?
It or no? Maybe they were frightening abilities. They could
Oh.
make people afraid.
Yeah, something like that. It was kind of immune to your frightening stuff for sure.
It was definitely immune to that, but I thought it also had some kind of status effect that it did.
It did have a roar.
Mm-hmm.
It had a roar. Okay.
Yeah, I think it deafens people with the roar, and then it could do something with the crystals to make people take lightning damage or thunder damage around the crystals. I only remember that one because I was just listening to it.
So I'm going to step in guys, I think the party's like remembered the most they're gonna remember.
Mm-hmm. I can fill in a few things prior to the battle if you'd like, and then we can kind of step into the into your shoes of the aftermath.
Go ahead.
Okay, so one thing that the party forgot to mention is that we no longer have Zictor in our party. So after the contract was struck, Zictor was absolved of his contract with the party and got the heck out. But he also gave Ulrich a small bag with his signet ring in it, as well as a message that Ulrich had written earlier for a certain someone in the group. Or maybe not in the group, but yeah. So there is some significance there that we don't want to forget. The party then traveled through a tour of the Underdark, led by the Baroness, by Bavon. And she showed them many interesting creatures throughout the Underdark until they unfortunately had to kill this specimen. So I'm going to hand it over to the Baroness from here. Oh, I'm not sure if you are muted or not.
Me?
Yeah.
I was not muted.
Okay. So you said you had some things to add as well?
I was going to talk about the safari we went on.
Yep. Feel free.
The Baroness showed everyone the big five of Necrata, which includes, of course, the dragon they encountered already. Also, an Eidolon, which is a very special golem that guards divine sites. We saw a death eye. Can't remember if that's the correct name.
A death tyrant. Yes.
Which is kind of an undead beholder. We also saw a very special kind of macrofauna herbivore with a jungle of plants and fungus symbiotically living all over its body. And we ended with a battle with that Carnogeist, the creature that everybody else was describing, with a roar and a sonic blast, an immunity to fear, and a very interesting interaction with the ethereal plane. It seemed like parts of it would be ethereal and other parts would be corporeal and vice versa.
One thing about the creature, the battle was fought very bravely by the whole party, but we saw the Baroness kind of let loose a little bit more than she has ever before in the party's presence, right?
That's true.
Yep. Kind of meat grinded the thing. And a final note, the reason why the party got into a battle in the first place was because the scout was unfortunately one of the Baroness's scouts was unfortunately attacked and killed by the thing. All right. So, the party is now kind of standing there, kind of recovering from this creature in various states of injury or recovery. I do see an aura still around Ulrich. I think this here is the wall of blades, right? Or wall of daggers.
Wall of daggers.
The spell that Briar had cast. Didn't the gathering push the creature into it, and then it got away down
Yes.
here? Yeah.
Yeah.
The gathering pushed it back into both a whirlwind created by Femur, a very interestingly special ghoul, as the party found out, as well as a cloud of magical daggers summoned by the Baroness. And the Baroness herself dealt the final blow with her flying sword.
Right. So you folks are now free to take over. Now that the summary is done. Anybody have any questions? I know it's been a bit. Or you can take it on in character too if you'd like.
I'll just clarify the aura is just my basic aura. It's not
Okay.
anything.
All right.
Yep.
Just making sure. It's just a way to help us know when somebody can't be frightened and things like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that was another delightful bit of your fine flora and fauna here. Why don't we consider moving on before its friends come, though?
A delightful suggestion. We are not far. In fact,
Belzian yells.
if you'd like an interesting shortcut, we can just keep going this way. And she points the direction that no one would probably want to go because it's just a cliff face going down.
Well, as it happens, I would normally say no, but you also have a contract, so I actually feel pretty good about going that way. Wouldn't mind more information.
More information about the path.
What does interesting shortcut mean? Yeah.
Would you not find a steep drop interesting?
I certainly do. But again, you have a contract to ensure that we get there safely. So I guess how does this work?
Well, that depends entirely on your capabilities. During our first encounter, I learned not to underestimate you.
Maybe
He wants to know how we're supposed to get down.
yeah. Are we climbing down? Are we sliding down? Do you have a magic carpet somewhere around here?
Well, if necessary, I can cast a Featherfall spell. But like I said, I'm trying not to underestimate what you can do.
Over
Do
the
you
rings,
have
I'll tell Ulrich. She's trying to figure out what our abilities are.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Um, hey, everyone, does anyone need some patching up?
I'm well enough.
I've got a couple scrapes, but I don't think let's I think we can save.
Lillian, Zippo, how you feeling?
Pretty good.
I'm okay. Wait, I can hear again. I'm okay.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you can hear now. How about you, Baroness? Do you need any? I don't even know if I can heal you, really, but
I can assure you I'm quite well, thank you.
yeah, no, that tracks. Well, I'll tell you what. It's your home. I would feel mighty impolite if we. I know it's not your literal home, but you follow what I mean. It's your home away from home, so to speak. Um, we would gladly take your feathered fall, I'm sure.
And so the Baroness beckons everyone to the edge of the cliff.
Oh, you want us to walk down the side of this wall?
Uh, if you can walk down a wall, you are welcome to do so. But if you would like to enjoy the thrill of falling safely, all you have to do is jump.
All right, so
Or we-
Belzian jumps.
Yeah, I think as soon as we see Belzian, or Ulrich sees Belzian jump, he also jumps.
Yep. Yarvik just kind of looks at everybody, shrugs, and woo!
Zippo does like the
You hear a
end
little
up to it and then jumps with like the double middle fingers all the way down.
tiny woohoo!
All of the younger races in such a hurry to get anywhere.
Can any of them ensure their own safety on the way down?
Depends on how you define safety. I'm sure they'll live.
It depends on how far it is.
I define safety based on the terms of my contract, and she turns into a bat and zooms after them.
Roger will jump down with with them. While we're falling, I'll say over the rings to the party, we're being watched, and not just by the Baroness. There are clouds of bats keeping track of us in the shadows.
Many spies have many eyes.
At least Mayheniir's security appears to have taken an interest. I hope.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you got a whole damn meal here plus a few tasty snacks. And Zippo.
I would be the spicy one.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, yeah. When do you think she's gonna cast this? How far do you think we're gonna get?
At
This
that
is a very
exact
long
moment, you see a bat just zip down past you, turn into the Baroness, and an expedient casting of Featherfall is uttered from her lips.
Thank you.
Certainly glad she didn't mix up Fireball and Featherfall.
Huh. That's very nice of you, Baroness.
I only wish you had waited to jump.
Oh, why is that?
She could have cast the spell first, you know.
Yeah, I also kind of thought that was going to be the way this went, but I figured if we didn't all act as soon as one jumped, we better,
I'll be honest. I honestly I saw Belzian jump, figured I could catch up to him and just polymorph him if I had to.
Well, now that we are on this plateau, as everyone lands, we have only an hour left walking before we're at the city. I advise you stay very close. It is only my presence that keeps you from being approached by less desirable actors.
Thespians.
Among
You
others,
mean
very hungry.
you mean other vampire folk?
And their agents, yes.
I think perhaps we will behave.
All right. So, as the party is traveling for an hour, is there anything they'd like to discuss with the Baroness? Anything that they'd like to discuss amongst themselves?
Roughly every 5 minutes, Zippo's going to look at the Baroness and say, "Are we there yet?"
After lunch and 3 more bends.
Did you say after lunch and 3 more bends?
Yep.
I like it.
That is the prepared response of "Are we there yet?"
That's what's supposed to be said.
During like whitewater rafting.
Huh.
As a guide, you're like, where's lunch? Around the next bend. Are we there yet? After lunch and 3 more bends.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yarvik,
And here I was.
Yarvik looks distractedly. It looks like he's kind of been somewhere else for but he heard lunch, and lunch perked him up. Did somebody say lunch? Or does sausage even exist here?
Oh, I assure you, sausage exists here.
Yes.
You may not like what the sausage is made of.
Just don't ask what it's made of. Then you will never know.
Ulrich goes ahead during this walk and burns 30 lay on hand points for himself.
Okay.
And here I was thinking that these people measure time by meals and bends.
Is anybody else healing? Or being healed, I should say, I guess.
Belzian concentrates super hard and does a wholeness of body, which recovers some HP.
During the walk, Ulrich will ask the Baroness, "So, what were your thoughts?" I think we kind of spoke on this a little bit, but any love lost between you and Zictor?
I can't say there's any love lost or gained between Zictor and I. Zictor does his job well, and he doesn't presume to rise above his station.
I'm curious. How far can someone like Zictor travel? He seems quite able to traverse your land. I wonder, is that something that's common amongst your people? I know you are a powerful spellcaster, but I never got that impression from him. And he went for a hunt one night, and I feel like he may have gone further afield than I might have expected.
Well, when you live as long as a vampire tends to, you pick up skills. And while I have been uniquely motivated to gain power, Zictor is older than I am. He's chosen the skills he wishes to hone, and he's very good at them. Zictor is a very good hunter and tracker. Zictor is also, as I understand it, particularly adept at changing forms. He also has a unique relationship with his transportation.
Indeed.
He's also very good at not revealing the extent of what he can do. But I imagine that if you have kept my experiment on you this entire time, he may have been able to track anyone on the other side.
Yeah.
I will say, as we get into the city, you will see other mimics being used for travel. It's not an uncommon sight, but I'll have you know that Zictor is the one who perfected the practice.
While while the Baroness divulges all of that, um, I think Ulrich's just going to note, you know, if Victor fished around in my bag of holding and found the marsupialis, which, or just fish around in any of my stuff, there's a chance he found the silver swan. Or rather silver swans, but I suppose maybe he doesn't really understand or didn't understand what they were.
That seems unlikely. Everything that we've heard about it
I mean,
suggests
Every vampire knows
sorry. This is an in-ring thing. I apologize. Because we've not confirmed that we have that for it to you.
Even though the Baroness does actually know.
Yeah, I mean, there's yeah, we just haven't vocalized it, and Ulrich's yeah, Ulrich's not
wasn't
flashing
it
it.
vocalized at the second meeting of the Baroness, or I guess third meeting of the Baroness?
Was it fully vocalized?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because Victor got really surprised when things were being mentioned about it. Like, and at that point, that's when he started having a change of heart about the whole thing, and was very excited to leave.
Okay. In which case,
It has been 2 months.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah,
To be fair, the Baroness let the birds out of the bag on that one.
right. I guess then there's no reason for Ulrich to. I mean, the Baroness directly addresses the thing he's kind of pondering about. I don't think he needs to be coy about it. He would say, "So interesting that you're implying he might have fished around in my belongings, or I apologize. Obviously, your marsupialis is your marsupialis, but you follow what I mean. The things that I was carrying on my person. But he never came across the swans."
Well, fishing through a bag of holding is a tricky endeavor. And if he was tracking through the marsupialis, I can imagine he was singularly minded. In any case, I doubt he noticed because he was surprised when I mentioned the figurines.
Wow.
Now, sorry, that this is a point of order.
Sure.
Why, if forgive me on this, why were we having a discussion about what to give the queen if it's known that we have these swans?
Because
Well, it's not common knowledge yet.
Yeah, because they're not supposed to be the gift. They're supposed to be one of our bargaining chips in the negotiation.
I'm sorry. Okay, I follow what you're saying. Okay, yeah, okay, got it.
Also, a point of order on your arrangement of bags. You were carrying the Baroness's bag,
Yep.
separate from your bag of holding.
Yep.
Just as a
Davon's
point of
reticule
clarity there.
was separate. It was a separate bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to also, because I might be remembering it wrong, but don't I have the swans?
I mean, I suppose yeah, you do. But I guess my point was more just having
like-
forgotten that, if he was fishing around, I don't know necessarily why he fished around and found the marsupialis and wouldn't also look through other shit. But that's more of a Ulrich wanderance than an urgent mystery.
It's an interesting maraca you have there.
That was cool.
Like, do we have like the backbeat to Gerudo Valley playing?
Are we in a valley currently, or are we just somewhere else underground, but lower?
We're a similar kind of plateau from before, but lower, and you're heading toward a kind of the natural curve of the cavern is coming to an end and ending in another wall. as you get closer to it, you do see that there is an opening that it seems you're heading toward. A smaller opening. Any other points of clarity or questions before we continue? All right. So, I assume the Baroness is leading, correct?
Yeah, probably. She
Well,
You're
we
gonna
don't-
have to give me a couple minutes.
What was that?
I think they're
it-
on a BRB kind of thing.
Okay.
But we don't really know where to go, so we would probably have the Baroness more on point.
for a variety of reasons, I believe the Baroness does have to lead us.
We can all walk in like a big line, like when people do that on the sidewalk and you can't get by.
The
Just doing the
worst.
posse stroll.
Slow motion, sunglasses on. We are on a plateau, so we got some space.
There are at least 6 of us, so we could really block off a sidewalk.
We're basically the Avengers.
We can't save Seregen, but we will avenge it.
All right. So, which one of you is Hawkeye then?
Definitely Yarvik.
I mean, I got
He's got the trick arrows.
yeah, I got the cool arrows.
Who's Black Widow?
That's Roger.
I think Belzian's got to be Hulk, right?
I
Yeah.
guess so. With the
He
punching
keeps
and the muscle.
being turned into
Is-
the Quetzalcoatl, so you won't like me when I'm flyy.
Or would Belzian be Captain America and Zippo be the Hulk?
Captain Canada.
I kind of like Zippo being the Hulk.
Because Zippo's always angry.
Yeah, that makes
True.
more sense.
He was even green at one point.
Yeah.
And that makes Ulrich Thor, which checks out.
Solid, yeah.
Who's Iron Man?
Jordan.
It would have been
Jordan is Iron Man.
Man.
He
By
had all of the
default.
gadgets and he died too soon.
Yeah, he already snapped.
Yeah.
We're post snap Avengers.
If you had to pick a member of the party to be played by Robert Downey Jr., it would be Jordan.
I'll take that.
I'm glad we settled that. That was been on my mind for months. I'm glad we assembled that conclusion.
Is Tokem Spider-Man?
Oh, I don't feel so good, Elric. I don't feel so good.
Buddy, I don't remember that I have a spell that could totally have saved you.
Yep.
It was time for him to head on, anyways.
All right. So we are approaching that cavern entrance. There does seem to be a glow coming from the entrance itself. It's a reddish glow.
Like glowing blood or like fire?
Wait. What do you mean, but like glowing blood? Please tell me more about this glowing blood.
Like the coloration, like fire would be more of an orangey,
Mhm.
warm glow. Blood would be more of a dark,
Blood could be any color.
ominous. Well, yes, but it's more of an ominous
That's what I was
glow.
thinking.
Is it
bad?
dripping glow or is it more of a crackling glow?
So the glow is constant. It doesn't crackle like
So
fire
dripping.
would, but it's orange.
So it's got stoplight.
Well, if it's constant, it's not orange. The stoplight usually only holds on green or red.
Shush you.
Well, that's certainly ominous.
It is. That's not the color the stoplight's supposed to be at all.
As you get closer, a stream of bats flows out of the entrance and continues up into the darkness of the cavern. They dip slightly at the party and then continue forward.
So do you think those are all just pet bats, or do you think they're all just transformed vampires? Or a combination?
I'd say it's probably all mixed.
I doubt there are any fully fledged vampires among them.
No, I guess if you got a legion of flying pets that can see things and hear things, you probably don't need to go yourself.
The Baroness stops and casts a sending spell. I have the delegation. We will be arriving at the palace shortly. Shall we be on our way?
Please.
Yes, let's.
Verily, we shall.
All right. You enter the cavern entrance. It's the cavern narrows to about a 15 feet wide hole that goes about 100 paces. It bends and it bends to the left and begins to descend until you see that the glow grows brighter. The glow seems to be bouncing off of this passage. It is a one notable thing about this passage is that it is the walls are not rocky like you've seen in the natural formation of cavern. This is all smooth. And it's so smooth, in fact, that the light seems to bounce off of it and refract. It's not a perfect reflection. You can't see your reflection in it. You can see the movement of your shadow on the texture of the rock, but this was this is a very smooth passage. As it twists to the left, the passage opens up, and you see for the first time Mayheniir. Let me change the map. So allow me to describe Mayheniir, but of course you are also seeing it on the map. So Mayheniir is, of course, the capital of Necrata. You can see some familiar things about the city. It does remind you folks, especially Ulrich, of Jane in some ways. The main thoroughfare in the middle with levels of city is definitely rings true to what you're familiar with. The city itself is lit with a caldera of lava at its center, and active lava flows winding through the city in at least 3 rivers. The rivers are not up against the city itself, though it may look like that on the map. They are quite far down, and there seems to be a shimmer of some sort of energy that is above each of the flows. What that might mean, you're not sure, but ultimately you can see that the city is quite dense. The upper level seems to be a little bit less dense than the rest of the city, which does also ring true to Jane itself. And you are up in the northern area, way above the city on a cliffside. The cliffside is not banistered, it is just a natural cliff that winds down the passage of the cavern down toward the upper level, which seems to end somewhere over in this end of the city. If you have the city zoomed out, you'll be able to see my flash over right here. Everyone see that?
Roundabouts where?
Northeast,
Yeah, northeast.
assuming up is north.
Yep, up is
Oh
north.
yeah, there's a little compass there. Yeah.
Yep. You see quite a large structure in the southeast side of the town, or city, I should say. This presumably has 12 faces, although you only see one side of it. It appears to be a giant church with large statues kind of adorning its entrance here, as well as in facets around the structure itself. It seems that one of the lava flows directly underneath this building. One thing that you do see over here is a very interesting structure. It doesn't necessarily look palace-like, though it is in an ornate set of buildings. It seems much more decorative in nature and not fortifiable. There's many different entrances to the structure. You can see some of the city is cut off by some of the wall to the right of you. You see that the passage goes further back and the city disappears, but you can just make out three or four, I should say, four round domes surrounded by structures, except for the middle dome itself, which is quite taller and more ornate. There seems to be some sort of text and depictions on it, though you can't make it out from where you are. And kind of stationed in the middle of the city, the caldera itself seems to be an enormous bridge that spans the length of the caldera. Presumably, this area here is the entrance to the city proper. And then ultimately, you can't see, you can just make out that the city continues on this way some, though that entrance does cut it off from where you are up here. Some other areas of interest are pools of lava that seem to have structures kind of around them or interacting with them. And you can see the motion of many individuals down below. I think the first thing I'd like everyone to do is make a save. Well, actually, you know what? You feel like you should be afraid of this site. This is a frightening height with no railing, and some of you even start to feel the effects of vertigo before you just kind of get a warm feeling coming from your left or right, whichever direction Ulrich is from you. And you feel a bit more resolve. Welcome to Mayheniir.
Wow.
Love
Very
looking.
impressive.
I love what they've done with the place.
Welcome, ambassadors, to Mayheniir. And she insinuates herself right next to Ulrich and interlocks her arm with his.
Well, please continue to lead the way. I am impressed. I like your liquid fire.
In formal speech, Ulrich, what you should say here is, shall we?
Shall we?
Yes.
We shall. Roger kind of peers over the ledge down at the lava far below.
Now, normally I wouldn't have chosen this entry, but your previous guide left me little choice. This just isn't the proper location to enter Mayheniir and enjoy its splendor, but we shall have to make do.
Make do? Are you suggesting that we leave and come back?
I suggest we do no such thing. The Queen is very invested in your arrival.
I just thought we might arrive correctly then after what you said, but this works. We're here now.
Arriving at the palace correctly will be the most important thing for you. I'm just saying that the Grand Bridge would be the best location from which to enter.
Perhaps we will get a good view of it at some point during our stay here.
I hope you shall. Now, remember to stay very close. My presence will deter any unwanted parties from trying to waylay you. But should you stray too far, I will be unable to enact my contractual obligation.
We shall endeavor not to be too trying.
And I believe I will keep this ruggedly handsome face the most close to me. And she kind of squeezes on your arm.
I appreciate that, and I will keep my. I will mind my manners and revert to my noble upbringing. Excuse me. Yes, I'm very happy to be here with you.
Oh, a noble upbringing. That's a surprise.
Yes, well, what can I say? Sometimes we lead lives that we don't quite expect. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to keep that voice up. It's far too harsh on the larynx. I gotta go back to my natural voice there. So
You sound dignified, Ulrich.
I sound what?
You sound very dignified, as usual.
Thank you.
She puts a free hand up to her chin and muses. You would make an excellent candidate.
Candidate for.
Well, have you ever considered whether you would like the gift of ascension?
Well, now that is an interesting question. Um, I suppose I would be interested in learning more. Yeah.
So, as she guides everyone through the streets and
So by this point, I would say that the group has made it down to the base of the passage that you entered the city by. It, if you were just walking through the city, you might not notice this rise that leads to the precipice. It was narrow at some points, but nothing that the party couldn't handle, so it wasn't worth mentioning. But you are now down here at the base of this street, the dead end, if you will. You actually, if anyone turns to look behind you, you'll notice that the wall looks solid from where you just came.
Huh.
Well hidden indeed.
Would you look at that? Well, you can't, actually.
Roger, with your vision, that's a solid wall.
Uh, Interesting. Not just an illusion, but actually solid.
At least to your perception.
And a masterfully crafted one as well. If it's not actually real, which would almost be more impressive.
All right, sorry to interrupt the flow. Just wanted to describe where we were. Actually, it is 8:40. Should we take our 10-minute break now? Seems like a good resting point before we plunge into the city proper.
it seems a bit early, but we are at a good point.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Break time.
So, folks, we will
See
be.
you in a few.
What was that?
Oh, I was just saying I'll see you in a few.
See
Sorry.
you in a few. Yeah. So, folks, we'll be back in 10 minutes' time. 2 plus 5 is 7, plus 3 is 10. So, we will see you at that point. We are not ending, we are just going on a break. So, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 10 minutes. See you soon.
Don't touch that dial. Shade will be back with more weird voices in just a moment.
All right, we are back. Welcome back from the break. Hope everyone enjoyed themselves. But now it is time to relish in the capital. So, the party has just made it to the top tier of Mayheniir. Rhymed, and I didn't even mean it. And I'm Briar. I believe you were saying something about walking through the street.
So, as the Baroness gently pulls the group along, literally in Ulrich's case, She intersperses pointing out interesting buildings as they pass, with prodding Ulrich with questions about how he'd feel about being a vampire.
Well, I certainly do appreciate the longevity, but I'll be honest, there's quite an air of uncertainty over your, how do I put this, individuality.
Oh?
Well, I understand, of course, that you're all quite beholden to contracts and things like that. But and I understand you are sworn to your queen, but it seems that there are individuals who, oh, how do I say this, seem to go against your queen. And I just don't quite understand how that works. I would assume that one who is ascended would be rather tied integrally to the individual that ascended them. Am I mistaken?
There is a rather essential connection.
Right.
But unless you are a spawn, you retain control over yourself and your actions in all entirety.
Well, that is interesting. I suppose. I suppose. Why then would you propose this to me? I like your company well enough, Baroness, but I'm not certain that we necessarily view each other as friends, and I suppose I view your culture as somewhat transactional in some fashion. So if I were to go through an ascension, how does it benefit you?
And Ulrich does look at the others, while he's talking about this to just kind of get a vibe on, I don't know, anyone upset about this idea?
Yarvik says over the rings, just hear me out. Never having to cast dark vision again. That's all I'm saying.
Zippo's
That's
intrigued.
a
Well,
very good point.
Ulrich,
looking
I wouldn't love you less.
Unrelated, I wonder if this place has a Carl's. I bet this place has a Carl's somewhere.
You know, Yarvik, I bet this place makes really good grilled sausage. Just don't ask what the meat is.
You know, I mean, even if it's something disgusting, I still got it. I'm still gonna. It doesn't matter. It's all part of the quest. I've got to know.
I used to think vampire folks were pretty wicked. I still do, but I used to too. This is over the rings, of course.
I have crafted among my subjects in my barony a certain short-sighted persona. But as delegates of an ambassadorial nature to Mayheniir writ large, I feel comfortable letting you know I am much more forward-thinking than I like to let on.
Well, what lies forward?
Well, for one, I think there is a chance that we could enjoy each other's company more in the future. But for Mayheniir, it would benefit the Queen greatly to have one of the Queen's own among your delegation.
The Queen's Zone being specifically a vampire or an individual in contract with the Queen as a vampire?
Are those two things not one and the same?
They are
Well,
not
I'm not.
the same.
Yeah.
Now, especially with the impending conflict, vampires have varying degrees of contract with the Queen. The closer a vampire is to the crown, the more terms in the contract.
How many
And
is many terms in a contract? Would you say the contract that we all have with you would be a lot, or is it pretty standard?
a contract with the crown would be at least as long.
Oh,
Yarvik says over the rings. Everybody knows Roger would be the best vampire candidate just based on contracts, right? Like, I can't be the only one thinking this.
No, a contract with the Queen is as large or as small as it needs to be.
That was over the rings. That was over the rings. That was just for the posse.
Yeah, Yarvik, you know, I will live a very long time. There is no way any of you will survive for me finishing a contract that will take thousands of pages to even write out, much less negotiate.
But you've got the skill to do it.
And for what it's
The
worth,
rest of us would die of boredom.
for what it's worth, I don't mind hashing out the details of contracts, but I also have a personal interest in this, and I've shared it with Roger in the past. There's a power vacuum back home, guys. I wouldn't mind if that didn't happen again, if these walls are not coming back up.
Yeah, it's weird that the walls are even down. It's crazy.
Absolutely wild. But outside the rings, Ulrich is saying, I see. So, but just to clarify, the length of the contracts aside, are you proposing that I consider or perhaps be considered for Ascension to enter into contract with your queen or become a servant of your queen, or are you simply offering it with the understanding that I may be an ally but not a direct servant?
Well, I can't offer it myself. There is strict
Of course.
guidelines about who may ascend. But yes, you are ascending.
Just then, as the Baroness is drowned out for a moment at the shouting of what seems to be a commotion on the lower level. You can see down below here, there's a series of posts and a stage with what seems to be several well-dressed people kind of looking at various livestock, as the Baroness describes it, and it's a lineup of which is people being kind of auctioned. I won't describe the details for the sake of this can be a triggering type of thing, but this is something that seems to be a regular market in this area. As you can see, it's fairly well established.
I don't actually see us on the map. Where are we entering from?
So
the east or the west or?
So I will draw your path, just because I have not placed you on the map for this. You came from up here. I don't know if you're seeing my drawing technique yet. And then you came down here. Let me actually make that a more brighter color and get rid of that one.
The map is so big, it's kind of hard to see the things you've been doing.
So extra large, blue. Okay, can you see that line work here?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and there's yellow here. I presume that was Amethyst.
Oh, it was green and it was me.
Okay, all right. It's green. Cool. So continuing on, and we are about here when that commotion happens. So you're seeing down at the level below, there's a stairwell down where you can kind of see this happening.
Gotcha. Okay.
Has the noise level died down yet, Briar?
For now.
Peace. Well,
I certainly understand the trepidation.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I envision your contract would be different from those living within Necrata.
Perhaps. I mean, we do have a little bit of trepidation about pretty much everything about this. There's not much stopping us not being alive in Necrata. Although I'm sure you mean those who reside here.
But to be clear, becoming a vampire does not necessitate servitude to the crown. There are, after all, several groups of vampires who ascended long before the queen took the throne. They tend to have more open contracts with the current king and queen.
I see.
I
Well,
wanted to know how Claudio was able to sneak off. I never
Indeed.
particularly cared to learn exactly how old he was, but I do know after his departure from Necrata into the bosom of Orcus, the Queen was sure to make everyone else agree to a strict new clause in the contracts.
A new clause, like a no demons kind of thing.
Indeed.
Hmm.
Seems wise.
That is, I believe, one of the reasons we were all called back recently.
To add that clause onto the contract?
For several of us, it already has been added, but you know, the courts, there is a level of formality that needs to be addressed.
As usual, I'm sure.
Isn't that right, Ulrich?
Yeah. Certainly you need to have a level of pomp and circumstance and deference to one's, to the hierarchy of a society.
This sounds like a lot of paperwork.
It is. I wonder, how do you feel about actually maybe a better question. Are there any among your society who subside less on people and more on animals? I know that Victor had mentioned if a person is not available, then a deer would suffice, though it is not as nutritious or tasty.
Well, I believe that answers the question, doesn't it?
Well, in a roundabout way, I was more interested back where we come from. We have people who prefer to just eat plants, for example. You have anyone that just eats animals?
It's just not sustainable long term.
I see.
There's quite the important limit on the kind of lifeblood that satisfies and sustains a vampire. And that life has to be sentient.
I see. Well, I suppose that's what such things take. Um, uh, how might one go about ascending in that case?
Well, the details, I'm afraid, must remain a jealously guarded secret, but it does involve an exchange between a siring vampire and the ascending mortal.
I suppose I should say, if I were to be deemed appropriate for ascension, and if I deemed that I would desire that path, what would be the way in which I would say, let's go forward? How do I uh, activate those first steps?
Well, to be honest, the Queen would be the one activating the first steps. But generally speaking, though some exceptions in the steps can be made, the baronies support specific numbers of vampires. The baron or baroness presiding is in charge of selecting candidates, which must be approved of by the crown. The courts vet the candidates, and so each of the 20 baronies ascend mortals as spawn. Should a spawn prove particularly ambitious and competent, or should the siring baron depart either through death or the long sleep, after a certain amount of time, a spawn can be elevated to full ascension.
I see. And how long were you spawn?
You should know better than that as a member of the aristocracy to ask that question of a lady of the court.
Of course, I forget my manners.
Sorry to interject. I'm not a noble or a member of any court. How long were you a spawn for? I could ask those things because I'm a rude dude with an attitude. That look you're giving me tells me you probably won't tell me either.
I will say I had a uniquely short period of time as a vampire spawn. I proved myself capable enough to reach a certain point that the death of my sire did not result in an unfortunate outcome. But it was partially through the death of the Baron Malkavia that I reached full ascension.
Well, you do seem to be doing well for yourself.
As a check-in for the town, I will say that the city. There are members of the city that have been kind of watching you. Some have openly been following the group behind. It's not every day that you see a group of free humans being escorted by a baroness through the city. Nobody pays you. Not everyone. Nobody blocks your way, is what I'm trying to say. Many are speaking in a language none of you recognize. Uh, in fact, a lot of the writings in the city are in a language that you don't recognize. Although Zippo, you recognize the words to those things based on the fact that you can understand written word, correct?
Yep.
So you just see normal labels of the city. You don't actually know that they're written in any other language. You just naturally understand them and don't really realize that they're written in a different language that you don't normally recognize. That you just kind of are like, yep, that's what that is. Yep, that's what that is. Right.
I know it's probably not here, but I'm specifically looking for a Carl's.
A cause.
A Carl's.
A Carl's. Okay,
Carl's.
Yeah.
got it. Do
Or
a
Carl's Jr.
Do a perception check for me. First one of the night.
Hey, that's better than I normally roll.
Okay. You haven't seen a Carl's yet.
After looking around and rolling that, I'm gonna look over to Yarvik and say, I don't see a Carl's yet, but as soon as I do, I'll let you know.
I mean, it could be a Varl's or a Barl's, but I know he's got it's here. I can smell it.
I got you.
It smells like sausage and mischief.
That's the best kind.
Where you are now, you are kind of coming to a causeway over one of the magma rivers. It's a towered point. It seems like these towers have guards in them, but they are not humanoid. They seem to be some sort of gelatinous form that kind of envelops the entirety of the chamber up in the tower. There seems to be one great eye that swivels around, looking through the holes like they would be eye sockets. The path continues on into the more regal looking area, and you can just see peeking out from the rock wall to the northwest of you, the palace rising out of the rest of the city. It seems to be a great pyramid-like structure. Think the pyramids not in Egypt, but in South America, with the steps going up, and I mean steps was in PE. And the golden domes that you saw earlier are actually adorned with many different metals. They seem to be great works of art. The buildings around them seem to be in some way connected to them. There is some scaffolding amongst the closest one to you as if it's being restored. Presumably, this could be maybe a more scholarly area. There doesn't seem to be any open markets as you see across the bridge like you are on your side. It looks more like residential and more nicer looking homes, perhaps maybe even where more leadership roles might stay. Since you know the barons have their own domains, perhaps these are their um, uh, autumn homes, if you will.
And I mentioned before that the reason I am currently Baroness of the barony my sire lorded over involved taking strict action regaining our livestock from a certain rebellious element. It came to be quite the presumptuous epithet, if I say so myself.
So I won't lie to y'all. This entire time, my brain has not worked, and I thought like the palace was like this big dome thing down here.
I believe that's a church.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, man, we are so far away. And then when you said palace over here, I was like, wait a minute, that does make more sense. That is the place with the gold.
Ha ha ha. Onward to palace.
Victory Street.
Anybody else doing anything while these two talk? I would be remiss if I didn't ask.
Roger's keeping his eye out for anyone who appears to be following the group. For not the people that are just looking at us weird, but people who might be actually trying to tail us.
There are many people tailing the group. Some of which might be curious, some of which might be threatening.
Baroness, who should we be looking out for our own safety?
Well, there are certainly some in the aristocracy who would consider your presence distasteful at the very least. But I imagine with my presence and the Queen's intentions, even though you are presumed the enemy, no one would consider acting against the crown. Not without taking a very hardline stance.
Oh, I don't think that quite puts me at ease, but I suppose I can relax a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Ulrich, I will say, after you had shared all of that, Ulrich would have thanked the Baroness. Just, I I do appreciate all of the candor you offered, and apologize for the impolite inquiries, but you have given me much to think on.
Does anybody have any questions to ask the Baroness about the city itself as we get into the final area of the city before the palace?
Yeah, sorry, I'm choking to death on something here. But Belzian would be kind of stealing glances at what is assumed to be the Temple of the 12. Sorry. But would ask the Baroness, like, when can we go see that kind of thing? Excuse me.
Yes, when hopefully after our initial meeting with Queen Cordelia, we would be permitted to tour this lovely city and see the sights, as it were. I understand you're taking us on the most direct route.
I am indeed.
But it would do, I think, a world of wonders back home for us to bring tales of all of the wonders here, not just the most expedient ones.
Well, I imagine, should things go well, I, or someone the Queen appoints, would be happy to give you a tour of the city. But you must understand that the Queen and King are most insistent to meet you and to see you safely arrive in the palace.
I understand completely.
Wait, the king and the queen are they both hanging out together?
Yeah, we learned previously that that is kind of a obfuscation. The line that we were fed that they maybe are not as friendly about with each other, or that there is division in the courts, is kind of a fog to throw up for those who are not in line with the two of them.
Ah, I must have missed that in my notes. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, of course, the king and queen would be hanging out together. I mean to say.
Well, you know they each have their duties, so they're not always together in the palace, but a diplomatic treatise is rather demanding of both of their attentions, don't you think?
Indeed, this is a matter of utmost importance.
We're honored that we are able to bend both of their ears simultaneously.
Are they, out of curiosity, really more than anything, Zictor is a short fellow, and actually, DM Wombat, have we noticed a number of individuals who are of a similar stature to Zictor?
Oh yes, many of the people here are of short stature. Though many of the seemingly lower dispositioned people are of a higher height
Yeah.
than that.
Uh, are, and I've certainly taken note of, especially as we draw closer to the palace, it seems that there are a number of individuals of similar height. I wonder, are the king and queen um, similar stature or stature, or are they perhaps taller as you and I are?
Sorry, some consultation going on in the background.
Of course.
One thing I will say while that is happening is that and I mentioned this into the chat, the followers, and as you'll notice, stopped at the end of the bridge over the Magma River. It seems people were mainly not willing to cross that threshold. Some did kind of walk off and stopped falling openly at that point and went to the left or right behind buildings. So they might still be somewhere nearby. But it is much quieter here. There's only, it seems, people of higher status in this area. You see that these buildings are quite more ornate as described earlier, and the area is quite clear. There are guards that are seem to be either thralls, wights, or maybe even some actual vampires themselves standing guard who have let you folks pass. The remaining grouping being at the base of the steps to the palace up ahead. The main structure ahead of you is a obelisk-like structure with a dome at the top. It's a obelisk that is 12-sided instead of the normal 4 sides that normally comes to mind when you think of an obelisk, and it's rounded off by a dome at the top. The 12 sides seem to depict in hieroglyphic pictures of some sort. So you can kind of discern some things. It seems to be a storied history of something. But with a quiet walk by, I don't think you're going to be able to glean much. Feel free to do a check to see if you spot anything. I would say it could be a perception or check, just because you're not going to be stopping to investigating this. You could also maybe do a history check, though that would be a disadvantage.
I'll try a disadvantaged history. Why not?
Roger's not
Oof.
going to be doing much on history, but perception we have in spades. That's a 31.
Got a 10 on the disadvantage.
Okay. There is what seems to be another group coming down from the steps of the palace, led by a similar resplendent looking individual to the Baroness herself. She is also a female vampire, and is short of stature, if you will. And as she comes down the stairs, she spots the party, eyes the Baroness, and gives a look of clear distaste. Not even wishing to interact with the Baroness, she directly heads opposite the obelisk from the group, and walks off to the south, between the other structures that you opposite of what you're entering.
I wonder, who might that be? She certainly doesn't seem to care for you very much, Baroness. Or perhaps us.
Well, that would have been Baroness Proch. And while she cares little for me, she cares even less for you. As we will recall, you are presumed the enemy of Nakata. On top of being livestock that is still permitted to run wild.
As the party approaches the pyramid, more barons and baronesses, and I'll name them what they are, begin filing out. It seems like a meeting has just been dismissed. Baroness, you do know about this meeting, and you know what it is entailing, and you know that you were not needed to be present. You have kind of your own orders at this point, which you are currently fulfilling. But the each in turn has a variety of reactions as they spot the party. They all are heading to the south of you, down toward the rest of the area. Only one group seems to head directly past you. Baroness, you would recognize that name as LaFay. Do you wish to name each baron in turn as they head through, or
Yes, I will. Renee, Faziar, Ruiz, Adolfo.
All right. I'll put the names in chat and I'll continue. So there's Jericio, Samarinth, Renee, Renezzo, Levinique, Chavast, Bordel, Lefay, Afanas, Costello, Claudio, Faziar, Ruse, Oldolo, Proksh, Shalrist, Julien, Demetrio, and Vankayan. And those are the 20 barons and baronesses of Necrata. There are a variety of types of people, some being human, some being of that shorter statured human, seemingly, and some even potentially having more of a pointed ear than some of the other vampires, maybe a half elf or two. There's a range in skin tones as well, from deep colors to pale.
Interesting. And they're all just leaving now.
Yep.
Good timing.
As the last procession leaves with their retinues, some in full armor, some look impressive, some seem more modest. The Baroness leads you to the staircase. The guards say something in another language to the Baroness. She responds in turn. And they allow her to go up the steps. Now, that being said, I'm not sure if Briar is free yet, so I'm going to pause for
I am.
her. All right.
I'm sure I don't need to remind you all to be on your best behavior from here on out.
No, that reminder is pretty useful. Roger will kind of glare at Ulrich and Zippo specifically.
In the rings, Ulrich will say, I wanted to be friends with these folks to start things off, and I'm trying to forge. I don't think you need to glare at me.
I promise
Roger
other
will
people I'd be
will
on
double
my worst
down.
behavior. I give my word.
I genuinely can't think of a time I've been antagonistic.
Just saying, Roger's the one that started shooting the last time.
All I did was try and discern an importance of a thing that I did not understand. That's just information gathering.
You're all doing great, keeping it all together.
Remember what we're here for.
Magic items?
No.
Yes, there will be no more magic items until we complete our objective here.
But they taste good.
What?
Okay, Gail.
I think Ulrich will say, look, in addition to, and this is in the ring, in addition to the king's sword, I may give my signet ring as a further token. I do feel that I've ingratiated myself in some fashion with the Baroness, and so hopefully that will add a little bit.
Does Ulrich still have his signet ring?
It was given back to me by Zictor, who kindly betrayed my trust.
What a guy.
Oh, there you go.
All right. The Baroness continues to lead you up the steps and into the pyramid of the palace. There are several offshoots from the main entrance that lead deeper into the palace. However, the main palace throne room is at the top that you approach. The stairway itself is fairly steep. It does take some effort to climb them. The Baroness seems to effortlessly float up the steps, but by the time you're up at the top, you feel quite worn from the incline, as if you climbed a height. Because as you look out behind you, you see that you are quite a ways up. Not as high as you were, of course, when you entered the city, but it is quite the spectacle from here. You can see pretty much the entirety of the city from this location, which to the point of the palace seems like intentional design. After that brief pause, you are led into the throne chamber. You're met with a dark room with it seems to be inlaid with glowing runes throughout. As you pass through the door, you feel a familiar effect to what you felt several times before, most notably that time you were near that river that was really annoying, or when you entered the mountains of Mayheniir themselves. Ultimately, you feel your powers kind of leave you, Zippo and Ulrich. You feel that you still have a connection to them, but they are just out of reach. Amethyst, you being used to not having magical abilities, just feel a little bit less full, as if you're slightly hungry. Same with you, Yarvik. You feel that the voices in your head grow silent. That's the main difference.
Well, these are the anti-magic defenses we were told about.
You see on either side of you, there seems to be tables. The Baroness goes to one such table and places a dagger and her sword on the table.
Oh, we have to disarm. I am going to be here a while.
Yep. Auric will either follow to the same table or go to another table if necessary, and just the weapons, or do I have to get rid of my shield?
A shield would be considered a weapon in this case.
That makes sense. The armor?
You may keep the armor on.
That's good. Yep, he leaves a crossbow, a mace, and a shield.
The king and queen seem to be waiting expectantly at the end of the chamber, but don't call out to greet you. You can't see any other individuals in the chamber, just the king and queen, as far as you can see. Does anybody else disarm?
Roger removes all of his weapons, which takes a while.
Yarbrig's gonna ask. So, I mean, Is this optional or required?
I would follow her lead.
I think it's a sign of respect and putting your
Don't
best
have
foot
any
forward and
weapons.
all that kind of stuff.
Well, sure, but that didn't answer the question. That is a direct question to the Baroness. Is this optional or required?
This is required.
Okay.
But I can't relinquish my arms. Ha ha. And then Belzian drops his bandolier of dirts.
Zippo, do you have any weapons to speak of?
No.
Okay.
No, I gave all my daggers away.
Roger is still pulling knives out of his boots and removing hidden clubs and arrows from various portions of his kit.
Okay.
He sets down a pair of hammers, an entire spear, and looks at his backpack, looks like he's going to take something out, and then gives up and just chucks the whole thing on the ground.
Yeah, Yarvik's got stuff poking out of everywhere, so he's just gonna take it all and just put it over in a pile.
Out of curiosity, are any of those weapons within your bag of holding? All right. Does
I don't
anybody
have
have
a bag of holding.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but I'm positing the question as if I didn't know because I'm just checking.
Nope.
Because
Yep,
if
and
you
I will
have a bag
say-
of holding, it's not gonna work. It's just a bag right now. The upholding is been removed.
Yep. And anything that's in, there are no actual weapons in Ulrich's bag. The stuff that's listed there is stuff that is just a note that it was given away at some point.
Yeah.
I started with a club, but I know I gave that away at some point.
I think I have your club.
I think
Yeah.
you might have used it on something.
As you wonder about that missing club, Belzian, you see Roger put a very similar looking club down on the table.
Good taste.
Like, oh, I gotta get me another club like that. That one reminds me of my old club, right?
This is my club. There are many like it.
All
But
right.
this one is yours.
By this point, the rest of the group has disarmed, and they're all watching Amadeus or Roger continue to unshelve weaponry.
Is Roger doing it like just emptying it onto the table, like clang, clang, or is it all like carefully
No,
being placed?
I'm carefully placing everything. The backpack is set on the ground underneath the table. It's probably too big to fit on the table with the axes and ropes and shit that
Roger
are
has
inside
his
of it.
own table. It's the one right here.
I'm eyeing another table. Like, should I push these two together for more room? No. And eventually, I take the Gareth's sword, and my my magical longbow and set it down on the table. And say, well, if that's not everything, it's everything I remember that I have.
All right.
Shall we then?
Indeed we shall.
All right. A red carpet leads up to the chamber's main area. You can see where audience is taken. There is a brilliant glowing square and diamond interlaced sitting in the middle of the chamber. There are no seats. There is no place to rest your feet. There are tables that you might be able to stand at on either side, as well as it seems to be some staircases going down on either end of the chamber. The king and queen stand in front of a singular chair, a singular throne, of which behind them seem to be some piles of gold and other valuables, some treasures, perhaps recent offerings that were given to the king and queen from the most recent audience that they you just witnessed exit the palace. There are desks on either side as well that you can see, some of which seem to have some paper opened on them. All of the paper looks to be blank. There are official seals and a red inky-like substance in jars. Presumably, these might be where contracts might be created. The royal contracts, of course. On the left-hand side, it seems to be some sort of filing system, and there is an individual there that stands guarding this desk, this cabinet. That individual is not appears to also be blind. Their eyes are milky white. I see some stragglers in the back. Yarvik, are you moving up? Okay. Baroness, I see you're back there too. The queen looks at you expectantly. Baroness.
Your Majesty, as demanded, I have brought the delegation from Relic.
Bevan. I see this. Thank you. Might you introduce them for us?
Yes. This one is Ulrich. This one is Roger. This one is Belzian. This one is Yarvik. And this one is Zapper.
It's Zippo.
Pardon me, this one is Zippo.
No wonder she just got turned into a baroness.
Ulrich bows deeply when introduced.
As
Yeah, Eric's
does
just
Roger.
gonna do what he did.
Okay, I heard Yarvik unmute and somebody else as well. So Yarvik said, "I'm just gonna mimic Ulrich." Somebody else said something.
Roger will also bow.
Yeah, Belzian bows, but it's definitely not in sync or as good looking as any of the other ones.
Zippo just stands there.
Yep. Baroness Bevan, you have done well.
Thank you, my queen. It is an honor to serve you.
It is indeed. Please, approach my delegates from Relic and Seregen. Baroness Bevan, would you be a dear and humor my king for some company while I talk to our friends?
As you wish, my queen.
And she waves her hand too and gestures like dismissal. And the individual standing by the files also leaves, and King Jeremiah follows the Baroness out to the western door.
I don't think I ever got a verbal confirmation of this, but they are human in appearance, generally speaking. Vampire, obviously, but
So, yep, I was getting to the description. So as Jeremiah passes you with following Bavon out, Jeremiah appears to be short of stature, similar to many of the other vampires you've encountered.
okay.
However, Cordelia appears to be not half elven, but full elven.
Okay.
Well, aren't you a handsome group? Welcome. Y'all caused me so much trouble, and yet here you are. Safe and sound.
Well, we do apologize for the trouble that we caused. It is an animal's nature to prevent its death.
That's why vampires always rise above that. A vampire no longer needs to fear death. Well,
In the ring. Oh,
go ahead. I'll let you
I was
bring it
just
up first.
yeah, I was just gonna say in the ring, Ulrich would say, "Roger, it's certainly your time to shine. I don't want to antagonize them."
Do the rings even work here?
Nope.
That's a good question. Okay.
Sorry.
In his
but-
mind.
So you think to yourself and you get no response. Well, allow me to introduce myself. I am Queen Cordelia. You have entered my domain without invitation, and yet I invite you freely to stand before me. I am told you have a message, but allow me to clear the air before we get started, shall we? By your previous statement, I am aware that we were most recently at odds. I freely admit that I underestimated you. I, for a fact, thought that I had enough power at my disposal to take what I wanted without need for treating. And, well, you have proven otherwise, which is why you received the invitation that brought you here today. So, you earned the steps you took to enter this palace. So what is it you bring to me? Sweetlings.
We have come on behalf of Seregen and of Relic. As envoys of peace. Maybe we have taken a roundabout way to get there. We've had a lot to learn of the ways of all of our neighbors, really. And our ultimate goal is to secure a long-lasting peace, but no simple ambassador can do that. And I'm certain you trust your servants, but they would not have the knowledge or the power to negotiate something so complex or long-lasting on your behalf. Or maybe you would. But those leading Seregen and Relic do not. We'd hoped to set up a temporary truce, at least until Orcus is dealt with, and secure a meeting for discussion of longer peace beyond that.
Apologies. Did you offer the sword during that? I didn't think you did.
No offering has currently been made.
Okay.
But as a gift, I've brought the personal sword of King Gareth of Seregen. At the Baroness's bidding, however, it has been left at the table at the other end of the room.
May I do a point of order for a second, just to see the motivations of the statement? Is this a factor of misremembering a name, or are you intentionally naming Gareth?
What?
So this is Gerard's sword.
This is Gerard's sword. It's been written on my character sheet for 2 years as Gareth's sword.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Because
Yeah,
we got it from Gareth, basically off of his dead body after Gerard killed him.
Oh.
Oh.
Right? It was handed to us by Marius, wasn't it?
To kill Gerard with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that is
that's
true.
right. Gareth's sword was given to you, and he said, "Kill Gerard. Take the sword and kill Gerard with it." Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I think the sword Shadow
That's a good
had
call out.
was
Very good. All right. Sorry about that. Because I remember we also got the rapier of Gerard, so that's the one I was thinking you were talking about with that offering.
No,
so
I have Gareth's rapier.
Got it.
I wish to present Seregen's sword to you, Your Excellency.
And as a noble of the lands of Seregen, and because we could not personally deliver the sword to you in a more ceremonial fashion, I deliver to you the signet of my house.
And he genuflects and offers it.
Okay. She steps forward. Sorry, it locks into place. She steps forward to accept the signet ring from you, of which she takes and places on a charm bracelet around her wrist. You see that there are other rings there, as well as other ornaments, and what seems to be a gold tooth on one of the charm links. She then turns to Roger and says, "Buttercup, why don't we take a walk and you show me the sword of yours?" And she gestures for you to lead the way.
Roger will. Say keeping whatever appears to be a comfortable pace for the queen.
Sure. She is legitimately floating. She is not even making the motion of walking.
I'll come over here and I will, having conveniently placed the sword on top, turn around and present it to her, holding it basically by the scabbard and not by the handle.
Oh, it's a shame I don't have anyone to test this on. Let me call someone in. Test its metal. And she again seems to gesture, and a guard brings in what seems to be a servant. And she walks the servant back toward the main area of the chamber. She stands at the square that's interlaced with a diamond, and asks the servant kindly if they would stand right in the center. And in one fell swoop, she swishes the sword, and with it seem and easily dispatches the servant in front of her, in front of the group. The sword has been upkept, I assume, Roger. You seem
Yes.
like the type that would upkeep even weapons you don't use on a regular basis.
Roger's knives are all sharp, and he hasn't used one in months.
Yeah. So she cuts through him, and he slumps to the ground in twain. His blood runs into the runes, and they glow sharper for a moment, and then fade back into their normal glow. She then quietly walks back to her throne area, licks the blood from the sword to clean it, and places it on the throne, across it, on both arms. Just trying to turn her around. There we go. I accept your gifts. Both seem quite symbolic in nature. It's like you're trying to tell me something. Why don't you tell me what you're trying to tell me? You're looking for lasting peace? Or pledging your houses to my kingdom?
I am looking for lasting peace. And speaking on behalf of Seregen and Relic together, we are looking for lasting peace.
Well, I mean,
But
essentially,
over
they're the one and the same if you think about it. So why one and not the other, sweetheart?
Relic is of many minds about the situation. I'm sure someone of your knowledge and experience in the ways of the world. And if you have not seen Relic in a very long time, or perhaps ever, you know of them. They will bow to no one. They would sooner die.
Yes, yes, of might and man. They all fear death anyway. That's why we're here, aren't we? Tell me, what do you know of Orcus, the demon prince of death? What can you tell me about him?
He commands great armies, from what we have seen. And he holds some sway over the deathless. Whispered tales and forgotten caves and tombs speak of him as the 13th god.
She turns and looks at Yarvik and says, "What do you think of him, little one?"
What's up?
Orcus.
Formidable. Having seen him firsthand, cause for concern. That's why we're here.
So you seek peace. And yet, it seems to me you should be asking for war. If this Orcus is such a threat, why was your first sentence not asking for my help? Seems like that's what you're getting at, ain't it?
Well, as it happens, we understand that you have an enemy in him. It's not just it's not just that he is a trouble for the people of Relic or Seregen. He seems to be causing trouble in your lands, and we came here as a potential ally to you. You see, we seek war with him. We seek war
Alongside
allied
you.
with you.
And what can you offer me that Orcus's delegates cannot?
Oh, now that is intriguing. I did not realize that you were interested in allying yourself with Orcus.
Well, he has not yet made such offers, but he is the Lord of Undead. I'm sure at some point he shall seek my company. I do not wish to serve another. I'm quite comfortable in my position. However, I must do what's best for my kingdom.
A noble sentiment. I would say that it is always the sovereign's duty to do what is best for their land. I perhaps do not know your land well enough, but from what I have seen inside of the havoc that Orcus seems to wield, I do not believe that it is in Orcus's interests to do what is best for anyone other than Orcus.
I think that any treaty that you might strike with Orcus would be temporary at best.
All things are temporary. But why negotiate with Orcus from a position of weakness when you could negotiate with him from a position of power? 3 kingdoms against the Lord of the Dead, rather than just one.
Let's get to the brass tacks. 3 kingdoms, you say? So you represent both Seregen and Relic. Tell me, how'd you come to be the speakers of 2 kingdoms?
First, we were the speakers of Seregen, and we came with a diplomatic mission to see beyond the wall once it fell, to understand what mysteries lie on the other side. We found Relic first. There we parlayed with the great dragons And with the council which rules in Relic, we formed a bond.
A bond I'm told you share also with a certain other group of people in my kingdom, no less.
Indeed, we fled from less hospitable individuals in Relic, finding ourselves in your kingdom, and found an individual who seemed to have an interest in diplomacy as well. An individual who seemed to recall the earliest days of the wall.
Is that fair to say? I think that's fair to say.
It's certainly accurate.
Yeah, okay.
I do not know how long your life, or perhaps unlife if you prefer, has been. The lives of dragons and elves and vampires exceed anything that a meek human as myself could understand, but for someone to have an insight into what the wall was, into what it did over these many centuries, and for them to have an interest in peace, we allied ourselves. I do not think it would be fair of us to deny or try to pretend otherwise. But I do think you are owed an apology, because rather than come directly to your court, we did leave your lands and proceeded back to the north. In part because we had already begun some work there, and in part because your lands are hauntingly beautiful and mysterious in ways that
Oh,
we
Rick,
mere
honey, you can say
mortals.
it. The crowd is a bitch.
So, all right, very
Distressingly
good.
hostile to life.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why the fuck I would want to be wandering around here. If
She
See,
raises
this
her
is
eyebrows and licks her lips deliciously. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, this is, I know this is really how, in my experience, most nobles kind of talk behind the scenes. But I was trying to put on airs here, and I appreciate the straightforwardness. Yes, it has been difficult traveling through your lands. We have barbarians to the north, and they are strong and mighty, but very few of them desired to eat me. So, so I do apologize we didn't come down here first. Perhaps it was a less brave thing to pursue the easier path in some respects.
She comfortably says, in a um, familiar yet commanding voice, "I'll give you a little lead on the leash, but just remember who you are and who I am." That's all
Of
I have.
course.
And she kind of paces absently back and forth as she's considering the elements that you've told her in conjunction with what she already knows, and she says, "So, my Baroness, my dearest Baroness Bayvel, she, uh, you crossed into her domain, and a few of my other barons to the north, and Bayvel told me. Well, she told me something most interesting, and let me just let me just be straightforward and ask, where are the swans? You have them with you, don't you? I'm not
Point,
asking for them. I will give you that much.
point of order. We buried them through the marsupialis, correct? We like they were taken to the wherever the marsupialis went and buried randomly by Zippo.
Correct.
Was it one both or just one?
Zippo, I believe you did both, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because I was like, I don't think I can figure it out with just one, so there's no reason having it.
Yeah. So Ulrich will say, we have access to them, and that access can be expedited,
Or
but
transferred.
or transferred. That is correct. But because we at one point had an uncomfortable moment wherein only one of us were permitted to live by your good grace, we thought it would be wise to protect ourselves.
Tell me, Ulrich, what's your surname?
Oakenhearth.
Mind if I call you Oki? She
It
raises her
is
eyebrows archly.
your domain.
She chuckles lightly. It's a chuckle that actually flutters the heart. It feels good to hear her laugh. You're in a non-magical chamber, and yet it still feels good to all five of you. Don't need to make a save yet, but yeah, it's probably coming at some point. And she says, "I see. Smart, smart. So, if you come for peace, what have your kingdoms sent you as a bargaining chip for? What do they bring to the table to offer me?" And rather than answer that, Ulrich, I think that's a pretty good place to end it, right? For tonight.
Dun, dun,
Seems like a nice
dun.
cliffhanger.
Yeah.
We can make an Excel spreadsheet about all the economies of Seregen, Relic, and the various tribes in between sessions.
Hooray.
By the way, I do think it is hilarious that the queen sounds like she's from like North Kakalaki. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I like that she must be from the southern part of Necrata.
She
I
is.
was gonna say, is there a correlation between nobility and hickish voices, hillbilly voices?
Hold up, that's not a hillbilly voice. That's Southern aristocracy kind of voice.
I apologize.
Yeah, she sounds like
I
was gonna say she sounds like maybe she's from like Savannah. She's from like antebellum South, kinda like that kind of thing.
I meant that more in the fashion of traditional media would, like, oh, it's a king or a queen, and so they must have a British accent. I've been doing a bad impersonation of Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption, and you've now brought in this Southern accent, and I just kind of feel like, oh, is this a trend? Is this
I'll say, well, hold up. Some of us just have a sort of Southern accent naturally to begin with.
Of course, and it was unfair of me. I come from the Midwest, where the accents are different.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
It's
I have my own
Nobody's
hillbilly accent.
questioning
It's just
your
different.
your proclivities. They're just pointing out that they Anyway.
Yeah, no, it was
I know
just
I know what
said
you're getting at. I'm just nitpicking the exact accent.
Yep, and it was unfair of me to use that term.
Because
Well,
my accent's the hillbilly accent. I'm from Appalachia.
From where I am, that's what most of you guys sound like all the time. So,
I would just like to note, as a fellow Appalachian resident, notice that when he said Appalachia, he didn't say Appalachia, because those people can die in a fire.
Oh, I would say Appalachian Mountains. Absolutely.
Uh-oh.
That is a. We have to respect regional dialects, and absolutely no one who lives in the Appalachian Mountains says it Appalachian. Says it Appalachian. That is something that is from not the region. This is a hill I will die on.
Well,
I've heard it a lot both ways.
It's because of our proximity to DC. That's why.
I mean, I literally live walking distance from DC.
Yeah, that's the reason why we hear it both ways, because we're so close to DC.
Well, folks out there in Twitch land, thank you for joining us for our 3-year anniversary. I hope you folks enjoyed, and I hope the party enjoyed too. We finally are here in Mayheniir after all of this time. It seemed to be just a twinkle in our eye when we first entered Necrata all those many years ago. But we will be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully, is everybody good with June 4th as our next one?
Yeah, that should work for me.
Yep, I'm good.
yeah.
Okay then. Well, we will be back June 4th, at about 7:30ish Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you then for what happens next with treating with an undead queen. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Y'all take care now.
And I guess one final thing, folks, for those of you who have been tuning in from the very beginning, we thank you for following our journey for these many years, and we hope to give you many more months of enjoyment. So thanks for sticking with us, and we hope to continue to deserve you. Thank you for being here. Bye.